What's going on, YouTube? It's Donnie all day. So today I am bringing you the Desert Warfare, the Extreme Ratio Desert Warfare MF2. This knife was sent over from Scab over at Choir Boys Outdoors. My man, check it. Dude, I'm telling you, if you're with me and not with him, there's an issue. Gotta get with Scabber. But he sent this to me because he thought it would be something I would find interesting, because when he did a video, I was like, that's kind of cool looking. And there were some things I didn't really see in his video that I get to see in person that we're going to talk about. I have a love-hate relationship with this design. Not the knife itself, but the design. There are some things that just drive me crazy. You drive me crazy. Ooh, ooh. Like no one else. So we're gonna go over that. But there's just some things, man, I'll tell you. So here's the deal. Design. It's gotta be good. When you design something, you don't want things sticking out like just randomly all over the place. You don't want things sticking out just way too far and all over the place. You don't want all kinds of like little hook areas, and you don't want oversized stuff that doesn't need to be there. You don't want any of that crap. Sometimes it just works. So here's the deal. This is an aluminum framed N690 blade. The blade itself is 4.21 inches, and overall it is 10.43 inches. I didn't know what to think about this knife, man. I really didn't. I saw that they talk about this right here makes it easy to transition from one grip to the next. That's stupid. I saw that and I was like, why would they just leave it as an indent? You could have said it was a bow hole drill, but it's supposed to be like tactical combat type thing. Would this be a combat knife for me? No, I'd use a fixed blade. But if I have to carry a secondary blade like some kind of folder, would this be it? Probably not. But you got to hear me out to figure out what I'm talking about here. So let's get into some of this jimping right here. And I know I don't usually do it in the kitchen, but I'm making myself some homemade panko cod fillet or haddock fillet, and I need to be around the kitchen. So you have jimping in this little dugout well right here, which if this little ramp wasn't so high, this would be really comfortable. But because of that ramp is so high, it's kind of uncomfortable here to put your thumb against here to rest in there. That could have been designed a little better. This last little knot right here could have been just rounded more, and that would have been freaking perfect. There's obviously the jimping here. It's a swedged humpback drop point. The frame is really nice. You have this safety right here that only engages when the knife is open. You can't engage the safety when it's closed. So with this big thing right here, I did have an accidental open in my pocket, stabbed my hand. It happened. And then there's this, the sub hilt. The sub hilt. Here's the thing with the sub hilt. It's just awful. It's just awful to have this big. If your hands, because not everybody has the same size hands. My hands are huge. Think about it. This is just about an 11-inch knife. That's where my hand is, right? So it's not going to fit everybody comfortably. It's not made for every hand. The problem is from here to here is the best. Holy mackerel. I'm not going to lie to you. The inner grip from this point to this point is perfect. So now it has this big giant flipper. It's huge. I've never seen a flipper stick out like that. And that's how I had the accidental open in my pocket. It did that. It just caught this somehow and opened up, and I reached in and stabbed myself. And I like tip up. I prefer tip up. But when you have that giant flipper making the knife do that in the pocket, that was a really, really bad thing. And it all came down to design. Now, This is the part that's confusing. I freaking like it, man. I don't care that it's got this big goofy thing hanging off. I don't care that the pocket clip is this just giant wraparound freaking unnecessary clip. I don't care that I hate knife locks. Hate them on this kind of thing, like that kind of knife lock. Obviously, having a spine lock, a frame lock, a liner lock, which this is. I love that. I mean, that's important. But I don't use locks. However, this is so military looking, man. If you've spent one day in the military, you'll recognize something like that on just about anything. I like that. I like the way it looks. If it was disengaged, I'd like it even more. But I don't know why. I like that. This flipper, which is horrible. That's the single worst flipper design I've ever seen in my life. And I mean ever. I love it. I love it. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I would love to be able to better explain the attraction to this flipper. I cannot. It's terrible to put in the pocket because it's so big it catches and it gives you an accidental open. And because the lock doesn't work, I just tried to engage it. Because the lock doesn't work when it's closed, if the lock would engage when it's closed, then maybe that would help out with that. But it's supposed to be, if it's combat, it's got to be fast deploying. So you don't want to have to mess with a lock anyway. I get it. But just that giant thing sticking out of there is one of the worst things I've ever seen that I absolutely freaking love. I do not know why. Now, if this were my knife, if I owned this knife, I would go to the grinder and I would take off this sub hilt and I might even give it like a little indenture right there. Just a little indenture because of these. Then I wouldn't want to be uncomfortable on my hand. And I would grind it in. I would give it some scallops. That's what I would do if this were mine. And I have to tell you, if so, this grip would be one of the best knife grips on a folder ever. Because I freaking love how this fits in the hand, aside from that sub hilt that makes it completely uncomfortable for me. I cannot get over this hitting two parts of my hand that it's just not right. My hands are a different size than whoever made this. It does not work for me at all. But again, I freaking love it. I can't explain. I don't know why I love this thing so much. I've been playing with it every day. I've been putting off doing the video because I just want to keep playing with it. But I got to get it back to him at some point. So we're going to at least test it. Man, I'll tell you, if I end up with one of these down the road, you're going to see this come off and you're going to be like, oh my God, that thing is amazing. And then you'd think that if I had it, I would grind this down a little bit. There's no way I would leave that stupid thing just as it is. It's so good, it's bad. It's so bad, it's good. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, this thing is just an absolute winner to me. It is a winner. It snaps hard. Gosh, I love it. We got to take this thing outdoors. All right, so out here in the sunlight. Now I know something like this, because it's like satin colored, out in the sun really isn't going to change much. You get to see that goofy paint job. I'm not a big fan of when they do these kind of things on all knives. I don't know. You're not really hiding with it, but it is what it is. You know, they thought, or they know, people are going to see that and be like, oh, it's tactical. And they're going to buy it because whoever makes these, Extreme Ratio, they're smart. They know how to get into the buyer. And even if it's not something that they would do, they're going to do it because they know it's going to sell. And that's the most important part when you own a knife company, is selling knives. So you got to reach people. Is it bad? No, it's not bad at all. I've seen some really, really bad ones, but generally either make it black, make it tan, or make it like give it a satin finish or something like that, stone wash, some kind of bead blasted thing going on. I don't know. I think the lines don't really need it. If I'm, can you see it? Yeah. Can you see it? Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. But I get why they do the effect. All right, so let's do some 4-foot drops. We'll see how gravitational bite. And it's not bad. It's swedged, but it still has a nice fat tip. Nice fat, strong tip. All right, so let's give it some hard downward throws. Make sure it's not going to collapse on us. Check the bite. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, that's pretty good right there. Now, this is a very used knife, so any cutting demonstrations might be unfair. So this is basically like a demonstration of strength and design because it's a used knife, right? You can't really test a used knife the way you could test a brand new knife. It almost push cut all the way through. I had to give it just a little bit, which means even as used as it is, that's still a pretty damn good edge. That's still pretty good indeed. Now, the good thing about this being so big, oh man, I was hoping it went all the way through. It went all the way through the wires, every single one of them, and then it got stuck. Bam, right there. Right there, took off the nib. So, I have to say that for an edged as used as it is, I have to say that it's pretty sharp. It's got some great bite on when you hit it hard, and doing stuff like that is hitting it hard into the tire. Oh, I got stuck. Man, that sub hilt just killed me on that one. So it does have that big, there we go, I finally got it through. It does have that big fat tip, and it's not a big fat tip like a big like you'd think, but it's got a nice amount of material in there to give you prolonged use. You're not going to be breaking this thing anytime soon because it's just built well. Let's see here. Woo-hoo! Almost got me there. Almost got me there. Sometimes you got to be fast if you're going to be stupid. Fast. Counteract stupid. Now there's a little knot going on in this guy. Okay, so let's see. But we're going to go straight through it. Straight through it. And the only reason I would, because it's not my knife, I would do that with this knife in a knot in an area where I see that there's a knot, is because the steel is really good. The maker knows what they're doing. They do a good heat treat, all that. So I don't have fear. I don't have fear that, uh-oh, great, now I'm going to have to go buy him a new knife. I'm not afraid of that. And if I broke it, well, then guess what? That's on me, and I'd have to buy him a new knife. That's just part of the game. But I don't know, I kind of trust it. Something about this knife, man, it's just, I don't know why. You know, you could sit here and listen to me say things, and you're probably like, oh, he's just bad-mouthing it, and he's so negative about it. I really like it. You know, it just gotta, I can be honest a little, or I can be honest a lot. So I'd rather be honest a lot, and I'd rather not give you half the story, because if I only told you about what I liked, then that doesn't really do anything for you. If you're a buyer, a potential buyer, oh man, then you probably aren't going to, you know, be happy if every single knife review was, oh, I love this, oh, I love this, oh, I love this, oh, I love this, I love everything about it, everything, this is great, this is great. You're not learning. You're not learning a damn thing. So if I'm not being honest with you at all parts, all right, it is not cutting the plastic mesh. It's just tearing, but it's not affecting the edge, so that's good. So maybe it's because it's used or what, but that does really stop a lot of knives from looking good. So let's come over here. We got these big thorn things right here. Bam. Now these are pretty solid. These aren't those hollow milkweed ones. So being able to cut one, especially the fact that it dangles like that, is pretty good on a used edge. That's pretty good. So let's take it over to. We're not gonna do a whole lot of cutting, like fine cutting, because it would be unfair to judge it with a used edge. If I said, oh, but it can't cut this, or oh, it doesn't cut this well, then I'd honestly, I wouldn't be being honest. I wouldn't. Honestly, I wouldn't be honest. Because it wouldn't be a fair assessment. It wouldn't be fair to the knife or to the knife maker. So let's try at least some feathering. And I have to say, it's still, I've gotten brand new knives that don't have an edge this sharp. So that's saying something. And you can see the use in it, then you know it's used. You know what I mean? It's got some wear. And his scab doesn't exactly go light on his testing, so you know that it's gone through a little bit of hell to get where it needs to go. So I am getting a little bit of drag, but again, that's no fault of the knife or the knife maker. It's just the fact that the edge has to be taken care of. And I'll tell you, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for a used edge that just has been lightly played with over the last week daily. I've been using this thing daily because it's good. It's fun to use. And I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that sub hilt, man, I'd be on the next train to Byatville. But who knows? I might end up picking one up. Bam! I might end up picking one up. Bam! And then taking that off or seeing what other models they have. Maybe they have something without that that's around this same thing. Because I'm telling you, man, and I have no problem spending a bunch of money on something just to alter it. I have no problems doing that. If it's not right, it's not right. You know, or if it could be better, I'll make it better. And that right there, I'm telling you, guys, you look at this, that knife right there, just like that, is as close to perfect as I would want a knife. I mean, that right there is so nice. Man, it's just this. And it would be even better if they didn't make it go past, I don't know why it goes past the spine. I don't understand that. But I'm telling you, this thing is badass, man. This thing is really badass. There's always something. I could look at my own designs after I've done them and go, oh, you know, if I only did this a little bit different, sure, I could do that. So I could nitpick, but like on the small things, but the small things aren't really there. It's just like the big things. This thing, a lock. That's really all my complaint. Well, the fact that this is jumbo, that's really all I could complain about. And it does have a little glass break right here. So be careful grabbing it because I did slide my hand across it once and I caught myself on that. Not cut myself, but caught myself. That's pretty sharp. But again, that's something I would grind out. That'd be gone. I wouldn't have that. So I'd take this off, grind that out, or I'd just grind it with that on. I really wouldn't care. Take this off. Then the rest is golden. Well, literally. Yeah, I like it. I like it, man. I don't know, you don't usually see this big humpback right here. On a drop point, it'll usually come straight and then start to drop, or it'll be one smooth line. And what changes it is the fact that this dips. And then right here, you see this, how that angle is? A lot of times that'll be a real smooth transition, but for some reason, they hang it up right here and give it a little bit more hump. I really like that. I think that was a really, really classy design. Oh, it's really windy out here. Speaking of windy, did you guys see Scab's video the other day? He was out shooting. It looked like a hurricane. But yeah, it's really, really nicely done. It's kind of like overdone. They overdid the hump on that. And it's a design thing. It's not just an accident. It's not like, okay, we're going to make this and then, oh, hey, we kind of, okay, we'll just leave it. No. They designed it purposely to have that really pretty hump. It gives it more mass, a little bit more weight, more swingability, and it helps keep the girth in the knife. I have to say, overall, that the blade design, even though it looks basic at first glance, right here, this is a really, really well designed. Really well designed. So I do like that. I don't know. This thing's pretty cool, man. It is, let's see. Is that 00 or C0 183P? I think that's what it is. But I don't know. This is cool. So that's it for this one. I have to say, I got to send it back to Scab, and I enjoyed playing with it. So Scab, thanks, man, for letting me play with this. I'm going to look more into these guys and see what other models they have. And if they don't have any other thing that I really like as much as I like this, I might buy one and just modify it, make it a little bit more me, make it a little bit more comfortable, take away all the bad spots. This is because it's worth doing that. All right, so that's it for this one. I am Donnie B all day. Until next knife.